How's it going, everyone? Just going to give it a little bit, see if anybody comes in the chat here before we begin. So this is the entertaining part of the video, or the stream, so hang in there. Alright. And there we go. Alright. Alright, so welcome everybody on the live stream, or if you're watching this in a replay, welcome to HHG Live, where every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be on here talking about everything from gaming news, might splash in a little bit of wrestling like I'm doing today with Wrestlemania 42, because I can actually do a gaming tie-in with it all, and anything else that comes up, some behind-the-scenes stuff here at HHG, and of course, as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to pop in the chat, and I'll be more than glad to answer during tonight's stream, and any night for that matter. So tonight, we have some gaming news to go over. There's a reprint of a very popular game that's coming out at Gen Con. There is an addition to the Horrified series. There is a new successful Kickstarter for trading card games that officially wrapped up, which begs the question, will it go the way of what Altered just went to not too long ago? We'll also be talking, like I said, about Wrestlemania 42. Both nights 1 and 2, I'm going to try to make those reviews quick. And, like I said, I can tie in WWE and gaming together. More specifically, Magic the Gathering, because I think World Wrestling Entertainment and Magic the Gathering are definitely having to deal with the same issues that are very similar to each other. And we'll go over that when we talk about Wrestlemania. So, but before we get started, a little bit of behind the scenes here at HHG. The last 3 episodes of the HHG Challenge Series, Dice Throne Edition, are edited. They are completed. They are going to be releasing for the next 3 weeks. I want to see if Cyndi can do the cool little thumbnail pictures. See, the matchups will be Crystal versus Owen. It was Crystal with the Cursed Pirate against Owen with Wolverine. Chloe and Cyndi. Chloe with the Artificer, Cyndi with the Shadow Thief, and myself with Iceman going up against Hannie with Deadpool. Colorful language in there. But all 3 matches turned out really well, and I wish we could do the rest of the tournament, but like I said, circumstances have stopped us from doing that. But hopefully we could do something similar to that later on down the line. Maybe something shorter where we can have everything to completion. But we got those 3 episodes going. Then after that will be the travel game episode for Cyndi and Hannie. They're getting ready to go to England in a few short weeks. It's already coming up. And hopefully I get the word before too long that I'll be going to Gen Con with True Dungeon. If not, like I said, I'll make sure to get my badge and figure out some sort of either housing situation. If I can't stay downtown or stay close, I'll just drive back and forth and find a good place for parking throughout that time. So we'll see how it goes. But as always, like I said, if you have anything you want to talk about tonight, comments, anything like that, pop in the chat, and I'll be more than glad to talk about it. But for right now, let's get into some of the gaming news that has happened over the past week or two. So I did it, and I didn't mess up anything. All right. So first things first, Horrified is adding a new addition to their gaming library in the Dungeons and Dragons. This time they'll be visiting Ravenloft. So Ravensburger has been doing Horrified for the past few years. They've done the Universal Monsters. They have done the Great Old One and Cthulhu, American Legends like Bigfoot, and last year at Gen Con they showed the Horrified Dungeons and Dragons. Now we get to go again, but this time in Ravenloft. Now Ravenloft is basically where the big bad, there's a vampire Dark Lord. Strun von Zarvovich. I've been playing D&D for a long time, and I still mess up that name. So they should have made him into a card in Magic. I guarantee I would have learned about them. But we also have Carrionet, the Living Doll, the Witch, Baba Lasaga, and the Sentient Supernatural Gulthius Tree. So it's going to be really cool to have Dungeons & Dragons make an appearance once again at Horrified, this time with a more spooky background to it. And of course, it's going to use the D20 system a little bit to help with the characters, give you a little more randomness of what you would find in D&D, where of course a 1 means nothing will happen to you, and a 20 means something amazing will happen to your character. And I think it was a great idea for them to do that crossover with D&D. So hopefully it should be released quarter 3 of 2026, I do believe, July 19th. So it'll be right before Gen Con. So hopefully I'll be able to pick it up at Gen Con. If not, it'll be at Target, be able to order it from them. Also, it'll be available elsewhere, but $34.99. Horrified's a really great series. I think it's one of Ravensburger's best board game series that they've done, or best board games that they've done, period, in my opinion. And hopefully they'll continue on, and there's still a plethora of monsters and lore and legends that they can go into throughout the year, throughout the timeline, so hopefully it'll be pretty cool to see. Next up, let us go. Again, all these, most of these sources I get from like ICV2, which is a really good source for any gaming news that you might be wanting to check out. A new TCG, Hellbreak TCG, is starting up from Spin Master, and it's called Dawn of Terror. Now, this is horror monsters going against each other, which is about time we've had some sort of a horror monster TCG. It's definitely no Hecatomb. Try to Google that and you'll see that one. That one was a whole different monster from Wizard of the Coast. Hellbreak TCG was announced prior to Gamma Expo 2026 and is expected to hit stores in October. Good marketing. The set showcased the first batch of Universal monsters for players to use in the game, including Dracula, Jaws, Bride of Frankenstein, and more. Packs contain 13 gaming cards, and each pack comes with a foil card and a borderless card. Each display comes with 24 boosters, and the displays will cost about $143. Reading these does make me long for the days where booster boxes were $79.99 and $84.99. But you know what? Over the years, inflation, and you gotta do what you gotta do. So 24 packs, you get a borderless card and a foil card in each one. There's also going to be, looks like, collector booster bundles available, which will be around $60. We have starters, which will be about $27 for 2 starter decks. That's actually not bad. 2 starter decks, and it's going to be Dracula and Jaws. So I think that's going to be a really good price point. If you want to start playing, if you want to have a new TCG to play, $27 for 2 starter decks is not horrible at all. I'll probably end up checking that out. It's supposed to be coming out in October. They might have something set up at Gen Con. If they do, I'll definitely check it out. But I'm always interested in see what they do in the world of TCG, because there's not really... There's a lot of different variants of mana systems. There's a lot of different variants of life systems and stuff like that. If a TCG is able to offer something different, hopefully it can sustain. I know I talked about that before with the Altered TCG. I thought that was going to be something that could have lasted for a long while, for the simple fact that it was so different. But it's just... We're right now in that age where there's so many different TCGs, and I went over that list before. It's so many, like almost 100 TCGs that are out there that are either have been out there for a while, are out there, whether like ones that are like cult hits, there's ones that are mainstream, you name it, there's so much out there. It's really hard to get your foothold in the world of trading card games. And I think one of the biggest things is if you're a Kickstarter game, that's going to put you behind the 8 ball, because you don't really have that major company behind you to try and get that game off the ground. And unfortunately, it looks like that's what happened with Altered TCG. But we'll see what happens. I'll be talking more about another TCG here in a little bit that just recently set a record. And hopefully they can do better. And even though Altered TCG will live on, and they have plans to make sure players can still keep playing, and the game's really sustainable on its own. And it would be sustainable more if it was like a living card game. But it's really hard for TCGs to just get that foothold, because of, if they're just a new company, it's really hard to get out there. Even though TCG Kickstarters and GameFound are able to help you out a little bit, it's the marketing, it's getting people to talk about your game and everything, and just trying to get the word out. Because you can have an amazing game, but nobody will know if you don't have the marketing for it. Or you might have the great marketing for it, but the gaming might be a little bit lacking, and then when people start finding out about that, that might also be an issue. But we'll see what Hellbreak has in store, and I would not mind seeing... I wonder what this one here is. Like, this bugger looks like a Demogorgon, but it's probably not. It might be something from The Last of Us. Maybe it's like the second cousin, like sort of next to Last of Us. I don't know. But we'll find out in a few short months. Hopefully a few short weeks, because Gen Con is about 100 days away. Alright, next up. The big news. Now, this was from Eric Martin's Board Game Beat, which I found this out. Fury of Dracula returns in 2026 at Gen Con 2026 for the 5th edition. Thank you for finally reprinting it. It got reprinted a few years back. Could not get a hold of it at all. But now this is going to be something else. So, Avalon Hill will have copies of Fury of Dracula 5th edition at Gen Con 2026 available for demo and purchase, with the game hitting retails about retail outlets on September 1st, 2026. It's hard to believe that this game came out in 1987. When I saw that, I was like, are you kidding me? This game is... I got to play it a little bit, and it's a whole lot of fun. It's a hidden movement game where you have one person playing Dracula, and you have all your friends playing Nina Harker and Van Helsing and others to try and track down Dracula before his influence on the land becomes too great. And it's a really good system, but every time it gets printed, it sells out, and the reprints go for hundreds of dollars because it's so popular. The only thing I can nitpick about is the cover. They had a great cover. Let me bring up. I know I could just typed in the thing. I hear you talking. Fury of Dracula board game. And we're not going to include 2026 because I really, truly enjoy seeing that 3rd and 4th edition cover. Like that 3rd and 4th edition cover, especially when they got re-released by WizKids, I honestly thought that was a perfect cover for a game. That has the main guy, that has like the castle in the background here. It is the main antagonist. It looks amazing. This one, even though it is fine, it is nice artwork, I just prefer the other one over it. Now, the board looks amazing. The character boards got updated and everything. It looks great, and my gaming list is going to be very short this year. I'm going to try not to overload on games because I still got plenty more to go through. But this is one of those games I want to get a hold of, and this is one of those games that I'm going to do my best to. And having it come out 5th edition, hopefully I'll be able to get it at Gen Con and see what happens on that. So, but yeah, Fury of Dracula from Avalon Hill coming out at Gen Con, then hitting major outlets on September 1st. Meanwhile, in the world of Magic the Gathering, they goofed again. Now this one is a little bit of a funnier goof. So, for some reason, at the pre-releases this past weekend for Secrets of Strixhaven, Magic Cards came out with the foiling for Star Wars to help with the copy, for help with people who make fake cards and everything. They started using these little foilings of the Planeswalker logo and everything, but now they have Star Wars ones. This could be either one, Wizards goofed, because we've seen it with TMNT, we've seen it with Lorem Eclipse and everything when they had the pre-release card swapped, and now you have this. Or this may be a little bit of a sneak peek of what we might get in 2027, and Star Wars might be coming into Wizards of the Coast Magic the Gathering, but only time will tell. But you would have to think at some point there has to be some sort of checks and balances between the makers of the games, the producers of the games, the printers and everything. They gotta be more careful on this stuff. I mean, come on, you're multi-million-dollar companies. I know, like, there's occasional goofs and all that's going to happen. It's going to happen, but it's becoming more and more prevalent with packaging, with making the cards and everything. Something's got to give. So, but this one here, it's not a big one, but still a little bit irritating because they need to watch this stuff. But if you're able to get a Star Wars TCG stamp on a Magic card, hey, that's a cool little collectible. And who knows, maybe I might be able to get one out of a Secrets of Strixhaven pack at some point. Last but not least, one of the big ones. Hey sis, I just saw you, Hannie. For those of you who watch this later, or those of you watching now, make sure you check out her Twitch streams. Quokacheeks00. She does a lot of Phasmaphobia, Sims. She does a lot of online gaming. Her and Cyndi both. So definitely check out their streams when you can. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a stream. Hannie just did a whole huge stream of Sims, and somebody made the Stray Kids band members in the game, and now she has all of them living in a house, and comedy ensues. So definitely check that out. Alright, so the next big thing, last thing for gaming news is Cyberpunk TCG. Now, we recently had Neuroscape TCG, which was a Cyberpunk game. This one is the official Cyberpunk TCG, and it has set a record for 200. I was looking at the 100,000 goal, but they have $27 million. That is way more than the like 6.4, 6.5 million that Alter TCG made just a few years ago. But we've talked about it here on the channel. We know what happened to Alter TCG. Cyberpunk definitely has a very solid following, and it has had a solid following for a good number of years. So having it in TCG form, hopefully the gameplay, hopefully the mechanics, hopefully the artwork, everything just makes a perfect storm for this to be a very huge TCG. I wish it the best of luck. I hope it does well. But only time will tell, because sometimes a Kickstarter game, a Kickstarter TCG can go on for a good number of years. Sometimes it'll go on for one. This one, it has a really great start, and I would love to see it continue to be, continue on and hopefully be something bigger. And plus the game time, it's 15 minutes from what I've seen. The age is 17 plus, which makes sense because Cyberpunk can definitely be dark. But it will be very interesting to see what they do with this game. And I'll definitely, if I can get a hold of some of the stuff for it, I'll definitely have it here on the channel. Because I'm always open to checking out new TCGs, because that's one of the big things I always like doing, is checking out trading card games and see what they're about. So this one looks amazing. The artwork looks great, and only time will tell what they're going to do. So if you feel inclined to check it out, definitely do so. And they still are accepting late backers, so definitely check that out. But I wish them all the best of luck, and I hope they do well with it. Alright, so that is the gaming news. Let me actually go on ahead and do this. So that's the gaming news for right now. And as always, if anything comes up, and if you want to talk about some gaming news while I'm in the midst of the stream, feel free to pop in the chat. I would love to talk about it. But now, let's get into Wrestlemania that happened this past weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada, once again. And this year was a tale of two shows. And this is where I get to put gaming and wrestling together. So, several years ago, WWE was bought by TKO Holdings Group. TKO is part of UFC, part of the Bull Riding Federation, like all that stuff. WWE is a part of that. Many moons ago, Wizards of the Coast was bought by Hasbro. We have seen over the years for Magic the Gathering what Hasbro's influence has done. Hasbro basically goes, hey, we have these IPs, bring them in, let's make them part of Magic the Gathering. First as part of Secret Lairs, then as part of Universes Beyond sets, and now they're a part of Standard as permeating through every part of Magic the Gathering. TKO Holdings Group is doing the exact same thing. Excuse me. By the way, Skittles flavoring water, perfect. TKO Holding Group is doing the exact same thing with WWE. They're going, hey, we have all these sponsors. Let's throw them into everything you do. And sometimes it works out extremely well. Sometimes it doesn't. We now have, for the longest time, the canvas in a wrestling ring for WWE. There was no promotion on it at all. Lance, everything's going well. Had a busy weekend working at the casino, but everything's going pretty good. Hope everything's going well with you, and hope everything's going well with everybody who's watching this or will be watching this later on. But TKO has basically changed the way WWE is right now, where it is more advertising than wrestling. And they're throwing advertising anywhere, whether it be on the mats, turnbuckles, wrestling used items like tables and ladders. I'm surprised nobody's come out, especially women going to Saudi Arabia, come out in full-length covered suits like NASCAR drivers with sponsors on them. And this past weekend, we saw exactly how WWE and TKO are exactly like Magic the Gathering and Hasbro. Saturday night's WrestleMania had to be one of the most... It had its moments, but out of a 4-hour plus show, around 40% of it was wrestling. And people are paying basically $39.99, $44.99 for advertisements within the wrestling show. And that's not just the ads you get if you go with just an ad tier on a subscription. There was so much advertisement for all these different things. There was a millionaire that sat beside Michael Cole and Wade Barrett for no reason at all. He didn't contribute anything. He wasn't a huge wrestling fan or nothing. He just basically went, I want a ringside seat. Right there. And this year's WrestleMania, and I got a chance to watch some of it, it felt more soulless than any WrestleMania I've watched. On Saturday, now Sunday's WrestleMania, if that was just the WrestleMania, Sunday, that little block was perfect. I think that was the most entertaining thing that you could actually watch. Saturday had its moments, like I said, and we'll go over the review here in a minute. But Sunday was great. But you can definitely see TKO's influence, that they're permeating so much in the WWE and going like, you need to promote. You need to do this. You need to do this. Some crossover's great. Some promotion's great. But you can overdo it. Look at Magic the Gathering and Hasbro and Universes Beyond. And that's my connection there. But, like I said, we had WrestleMania, so let's go over the results. Real quick, first off, we had LA Knight and the Usos defeating Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and ISHO Speed on night one. Now, this was everybody's talking about this being the TKO portion of WrestleMania, because you had all the celebrities and basically the focus on celebrity interactions. This was basically TKO trying to make Pat McAfee and Sylvester Stallone, is what they wanted to do, and it didn't work, at least for now. But you had ISHO Speed showing that he can definitely do some athletic things in the ring. He was able to pull off a Hurricane Rana. The biggest thing at the end of the match was Knight and the Usos was able to get the win after miscommunication between ISHO Speed and Logan Paul. Then Logan and Austin were starting to beat down ISHO, and for some reason LA Knight and the Usos went, Nah. And they went back in there, helped out Speed, and laid out Logan Paul on the table, and Speed did a heck of a splash on the Paul. Paul Heyman was nowhere around this match. I don't blame him. It was an okay six-man tag, but it could have been on SmackDown, to be honest. And I love LA Knight, don't get me wrong, but it could have been on SmackDown. Next up, we had the unsanctioned match between Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre. Jacob Fatu won the match, but it was more just a no holds barred, like no DQ match. It wasn't unsanctioned. We've gotten so used to seeing unsanctioned matches from many different companies be a lot more violent. This was not one of them. I think this, if they weren't going to do any type of bloodshed, if they weren't going to do any type of major violence, they could have saved it for next month's pay-per-view, or if they had a Bad Blood pay-per-view, or I think next one's Backlash, they could have had it for that. Had like just a one-on-one encounter here, have it to where they just beat the living daylights out of each other, and then go into an unsanctioned match. But Jacob Fatu was able to get the win against Drew McIntyre after a bunch of plunder and the dreaded Toolbox of Doom. Next up, the Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Tag Championships. We had Lyra Valkyria and Bayley going up against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, which I love their entrance. Both of them came out with wings, especially Alexa Bliss came out with the Bray Wyatt wings. Love that entrance attire. I thought she did amazing with that. The costumes for WrestleMania is always really good. I really liked Nia Jax and Lash Legends tribute to Demolition. They both came out in white. They had the Demolition masks on and everything. I thought that was great. Unfortunately, the crowd was just non-existent for them, and I think that's a shame. I think Nia Jax has worked on getting into better shape, and she's been looking a lot better in the ring. Lash Legend is amazing. I think she's a future women's champion, singles champion without a doubt. But when they came out and there was no reaction, I'm like, that sucks. Because I think that they've been doing really well, and they're like the irresistible force. Try and beat them. They're like a wrecking ball. And them with the tribute to Demolition was great. But the biggest thing everybody was talking about in this was Brie Bella and Nikki Bella coming out. Nikki was unable to perform because of an ankle injury, so they made a call to a friend, and that friend was Paige. And the place erupted. Paige came in. She definitely hasn't lost a step. She went wild on everybody, and the ending came when she was able to hit the Rampage on Alexa Bliss for the 1-2-3. The tag match was fine. Good work from all four teams. But Paige and Brie Bella, now tag team champions. I can't wait to see what happens with it. Becky Lynch regained the Intercontinental Championship against AJ Lee after getting into it with the referee, exposing a turnbuckle, and being able to use that exposed turnbuckle to her advantage. After back and forth action, AJ Lee was able to hit a manhandle slam onto Becky Lynch, almost got the pin, but in the end of it all, the ref got bumped. Becky Lynch sent AJ Lee into the turnbuckle, and it ended up costing AJ Lee her title after a manhandle slam from Becky Lynch. So now she's a 3-time Intercontinental Champion. Next up, Gunther was able to defeat Seth Rollins after a really good match, but it ended with interference from Braun Breaker, who did probably one of the worst long-running spears. Even though that boy can run top speed, he did the spear, but instead of it being like, oh, he folded Seth Rollins in half, it looked like he just grazed him. And it was just such a letdown on that one. But I'm glad to see Braun Breaker's back. But the story of the match was really good. Seth Rollins was trying to make Gunther go to sleep, get the sleeper hold on him, trying to out-wrestle him at every shot. But it was Gunther with the sleeper after an interference from Braun Breaker that did it. Next up, we had Liv Morgan defeating Stephanie Vaquera after interference from Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez of Judgment Day to win the Women's World Championship. Liv's entrance was her music video, and she did a live performance on it, even though her lip syncing was a little bit off. Not as bad as Milli Vanilli. Most younger viewers will never know who Milli Vanilli is, but it's okay. But the match was hard-hitting. I think they did fine. They did better than the build. The build's been a little bit messy, but you know what? They made up for it in the ring. I thought they did a really good match. And having Liv win with the Oblivion after multiple interferences was a good call, and I can't wait to see what the follow-up is. Hopefully Stephanie Vaquer is able to go for vengeance, start taking out one by one the Judgment Day until she gets back at Liv and tries to regain her title. And then the main event saw Cody Rhodes win against Randy Orton after Pat McAfee got taken out by Jelly Roll through a table, a sentence I never thought I'd say, but there you go. And then the match was slow. It was Randy Orton from 2009, a lot of headlocks, a lot of wear down moves, and it didn't pick up until the last third of the match where Cody was busted open and Orton was getting busted, and it was just all of a sudden you got people booing Cody, cheering Randy. And then Pat McAfee comes back out dressed in the referee outfit. And then Randy Orton goes to the pin. Pat McAfee doesn't do a fast count. He just goes 1, 2, and then the kick out. And Randy's like, "What are you doing?" And Pat's like, "I just tried to do 1, 2, 3." And then RKO on the Pat. Then why did you do this whole dang thing? It was so messed up, but it is what it is. And then Cody was able to hit a crossroads and win. The match felt like towards the end it could have went like 5 minutes or so, but it just abruptly stopped. But then we had Randy Orton taking the belt, popping Cody with it, and then hitting his first punt since 2020. So now we're going into after WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes still the champ. Cody Rhodes starting to get booed more. Orton still being cheered because he's a legend and he's been amazing as a good guy. So it'd be great to see if they do Cody as a turn, make him to a heel. Randy Orton back as a babyface, going, "What was I thinking? I should have listened to Pat McAfee. Why am I listening to Pat?" And have them going into a match, maybe in Hell in a Cell. We haven't had a Hell in a Cell match since 2024, when CM Punk and Drew McIntyre had theirs, and it made an impact. This is the match to do it. Orton, cut Rhodes one last time in the middle of the cage. Let him have that for a championship. That's my hope. But all in all, that was the TKO portion of WrestleMania. It was okay. Not much to look back on, to really watch. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I watched the good portions of it throughout when I could. But all in all, a lot of adverts. Wrestling, like I said, was like less than about 40% of the card. And then you had all these advertisements and promotions and everything. And instead, it should be more about the wrestling. If you want to do adverts and everything, cool, but just try to wind them down a lot more. Like, space them out. You don't have to include everything on a 4-hour show. Like, people are going there for 2-night events and everything. And I need to silence that. Of course, my phone goes off during a live stream. Alright, now, WrestleMania Night 2. This one was the better night of the two, especially with the opener being Oba Femi going up against Brock Lesnar. This is what I wanted the match to be. Two big boys beating the heck out of each other, and Oba showing that he is now the ruler, and he has taken out the beast. Oba Femi beat Brock Lesnar with one fall from grace. We have gotten so used to seeing Brock Lesnar and his opponent spam finishers over and over and over and over again. This was a simple story that Brock Lesnar finally met his match. That Brock Lesnar is now, even though he's still strong, he's still a beast, he's a little older. He comes across that young lion that is stronger, that's tougher. They locked up. Lesnar tried giving 2 clotheslines, didn't budge Oba. He went for a third. Oba just clotheslined the crap out of him. Got out to the ring. Brock Lesnar chucked Oba around a bit, got him back in. Oba was able to start going for the running uppercuts in the corner. Brock caught him, F5, after taking him, of course, to Suplex City. All of a sudden, Oba gets back up in the F5, shakes off like nothing happened, gives him a chokeslam, gives him a fall from grace, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. It was, in my opinion, that was the way to set up a star in Oba Femi. But that's not what people are talking about right now. They're talking about what happened after the match with Brock Lesnar taking off his gloves, taking off his pads, and taking off his boots. and leaving him in the ring, signifying that he's retiring from wrestling. Even though a lot of speculation was he was going to retire at SummerSlam in his home state, but it appears he's decided, no, I'm going to go early. Now, this may feed into Gunther asking for his favor from Paul Heyman, going like, hey, you know that favor? Give me Brock Lesnar. If he wants to retire, I'll retire him. No problem. That might be where it's going. And if it is, okay, cool. See how that goes. But I think if Brock was going to retire, he should have done it tonight on Raw. He should have done it. He should have just came out there and went, you know what? Last night made me realize I'm still a beast, but I'm not the beast. I am not a ruler. I met the ruler. And it's his time. And that's when you leave everything in the ring. But as far as the match goes, chef's kiss. Loved it. It was what it needed to be. I just wish there was more focus on Obafemi women marriage. I should be recast in a remake for Princess Bride as the preacher. Excuse me. But yeah, it should have been more focused on Oba than on Brock after the match. Next up, Penta was able to recapture or retain the IC title in a ladder match with Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, Rusev, JD McDonough, and Rey Mysterio. This was a fine ladder match. It wasn't the best, but also it dang sure wasn't the worst. But there were some great spots in it. Javon Evans taking out Rusev through a ladder, through a table. I love the gear. Rey Mysterio come out as Deadpool. You had Penta in a good form of crossover with Shao Kahn's helmet, which he had to adjust for a sec to hold on to it to do his entrance. But to promote Mortal Kombat coming out, it dang sure was a whole lot better than what the Viking Raiders got, or War Raiders got a few years ago when they did Clash of Clans, because they got the foam stuff. They got the weird anime weapons. Penta got the cool helmet. But this was a good match. Love seeing it. And I think Javon Evans is another one, a young talent who is going to go far if his body lets him, because he takes some wild moves off the top. And plus, it's great seeing Dragon Lee was given the blessing to do a Styles Clash. I love seeing it every time. I love that short run of tag team title between AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, and seeing Styles go, you know what, you got this, I think was really cool. Next, Trick Williams was able to defeat Sami Zayn for the United States Championship. I forgot the rapper that was with Trick Williams. I do apologize. I should have had that written down. But there's some shenanigans there. But in the end, the trick shot did it. I think they just need to go and strap the rocket to Trick Williams and shoot him straight to the moon. This match was fine. I really wish it had been Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes instead of Sami Zayn would have been great. Because Hayes and Williams had history in NXT. They could have used that. They could have built up to the match. But I don't understand why WWE put the title on Zayn unless they wanted to make him heel again. And this was a good start, but Trick Williams getting the United States Championship, please do something with it. Like, that's all I'm asking. Do the open challenge. Just be that tough heel going like, you know what, I can outdo anybody. Let me prove it. But Trick Williams deserves it, 100%. Next up, we had the Demon, Finn Balor, defeating Dominic Mysterio in a impromptu street fight because it was made a street fight that day. Of course, when you have the Demon, you might as well have a street fight. Demon Finn Balor coming back. I wish they would have just saved it as a surprise, like have it to where Finn Balor was on the screen going like, you're not facing me, and then you see the screen go and he just appears in the face paint. That would have been more impactful, and just instead of spoiling it, trying to get more tickets sold. But again, it was a plunder match. It was fine. Demon Finn Balor winning was the right call. I'm glad they didn't make it a street fight because they needed to, because of everything that Dominic did to get him out of Judgment Day. It could have been more violent, but we may have something later on down the line. But seeing Finn Balor come back with the red smoke and his own head on a stick with spikes, it reminds me of something of my wrestling days, but that's a different story. It was great to see. Finn Balor do the demon again. Just no spooky lights and no like weird fish twinges with the beats of the music and all. Please, for love of goodness, don't ever do that again. In the semi-main, we had Rhea Ripley defeating Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. It was heavy hitting. These two beat the living bejesus out of each other. We had interference from Meechin and B-Fab, but of course Io came in, had Rhea's back, and then there was a good transition at the end where Cargill hits a big boot. Cargill then picks up Rhea for the for Jaded after hitting Sandstorm, which is her version of the One-Winged Angel, which was pretty cool to see her hit that. I love seeing wrestlers add new moves to their repertoire, and that one, I do love the One-Winged Angel. I still think Kenny Omega does a really good job with it, but you know what? Seeing somebody in WWE use it, I'm all for it. But she goes for Jaded, and Rhea just does this kick to throws her off balance, goes through the legs, still holds on to one arm, and then hits the Riptide for the 1-2-3. Another match that could have went into a little bit of an extra gear towards the end, but you know what? It was the right call. Rhea getting the championship, and Io helping her out, her friend, right off on the cart into the sunset was great. Before the main event, we did have the John Cena coming out, coming out to do the attendance number, lower than last year, but then Miz and Kit Wilson came out, and then we had Danhausen. Danhausen got his blimp. Danhausen got his mini-housens, and he got the coffin-hausen, and this was, if you're going to put comedy on WrestleMania, this was it. It was a fun thing to go like, all right, we need to bring you down just a hair, get you laughing a little bit, because now we're going to something serious at WrestleMania. So I want to give you this last little bit of respite, because we're going to do the good stuff next. But Danhausen drives down the Coffinhausen, and then there were a few punches to nether regions. The crown jewels were punched thanks to one of the mini-housens on the Kit Wilson, and then he got dogpiled, and then Miz gets hit-hausen in the downstairs, and then Danhausen was given the okay to use the 5-knuckle shuffle, or I guess the 2-finger poke. He did the "you are cursed" and then just went right in Miz's eyes. And then towards the end, Danhausen does the "you can't see me" to John Cena. Smoke happens, then Danhausen's still just standing there, and then he runs off, and it was fun, it was campy, it was great, and I know that he can do the character seriously, but I think this version that introduced to the WWE was fantastic. Loved every minute of it. This is the kind of, if you want goofy wrestling on your, or goofy characters on your wrestling, this is perfect. And I think it's fantastic that he's able to do this on such a grand stage and be able to do this with some amazing people. And it was a lot of fun. But then we had the main event, which the main event was the longest match of the night. Roman Reigns against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. The build-up for it was really good. The promos were great. This match lived up to it, and then some. The biggest sticking point was Roman. The one thing that Punk got mad about during the whole promo, during everything they talked about, was him being older. Him getting up there in age. And this match showed it. This match got off to a really good start. They kicked it in the gear. And there was at one point where Punk was like, you know what, I shouldn't be doing this at my age, but I'm at the top rope. Reigns is down there at the table. And this is after Reigns put Punk through a table earlier in the match. And all of a sudden, Punk just jumps off the top rope, puts Reigns through the table. And that's when it starts going downhill, because that took a toll on Punk. And then Reigns was able to take advantage of it. And this great moment at the end that I think was just a great finish to the match. And if you can't watch the match, if you don't watch anything else from WrestleMania this year, watch Punk versus Reigns, because it told such a great story. Because towards the end, Reigns hit a spear, Punk kicks out, but then Punk tries to get back up, and he is tired, and he's worn down, and he's exhausted, and you could tell because like it's finally showing that his age is finally just, his body's like, I can't do it anymore. But his spirit's like, oh, we're going to freaking do it. And he throws this one last punch, tries to go for Reigns, and misses him. And then Reigns gets up. Punk gets up, and then Reigns hits the ropes, hits a big spear, 1, 2, 3, wins clean, beats Punk. And he celebrates with his family. Punk did everything that he should have done as a champion at WrestleMania. Had the good entrance, had the outsider entrance. Basically, the entrances too were really great. Roman Reigns being born into the business with his family and everything. CM Punk was the outsider looking in. He had a tribute to a friend of his that just recently passed away, and to his dog Larry. And it was just a really good main event. And I think it will go down as possibly one of the better main events of WrestleMania history, in my opinion. Just the story behind it was so good, and they just beat the holy heck out of each other. And I really encourage anybody, if you're going to watch 2 matches from WrestleMania, Oba Brock, less than 7 minutes. Roman and Punk, less than 30 minutes. Both of them are really good. And Sunday was definitely the better showing of WrestleMania than Saturday. Sunday was in my opinion, Sunday was the Triple H-led WrestleMania. Saturday was a TKO-led WrestleMania. But night 2 is definitely a lot stronger than night 1. But yeah, if you're going to watch 2 matches, watch Oba Brock, watch Reigns and Punk. I think those were the 2 best ones. But WrestleMania this year, a lot of it, though, did feel soulless. You can look back at past WrestleManias and you can just feel the atmosphere. You can just feel the excitement of everything that's going on, whether it be WrestleMania 1 for the very first one, with the main event with Hogan and T against Orndorff and Piper, or you go to WrestleMania 3 with Hogan slamming Andre, WrestleMania 4, Savage winning the championship title tournament, 6 with Hogan and Warriors, 7 with Savage and Flair, 8 with Savage against, 6 with I'm getting my WrestleManias mixed up, because 8 was Savage and Flair, because 7 was Savage and Warrior during the retirement, and they came out of retirement. 17 where you had Rock and Austin. 18 where you had Hogan and Vince. There's so many. 25 Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. A lot of these past WrestleManias, they had heart, and you could tell it, and there was so much fire into it. But this one this year felt so different because of all the ads, because a lot of the people that are going there are people that can afford those kind of tickets, and they're just going because, well, it's something to do. And it's not the die-hard wrestling fans that it used to be. If you want to see the die-hard wrestling fans, there's plenty of other promotions to watch. But as far as those big ticket events like pay-per-views for WWE right now, it feels different. Overseas, it's what it should be here in the U.S. When it comes to the fans, because overseas they appreciate everything that the wrestlers do, and you could see it every time WWE or AEW or any type of promotion does any type of overseas tour. You see it in those wrestling fans, and they enjoy it. And I think that's something that is missed here. But that's my thoughts on WrestleMania. And that's some of the gaming news. I'll stick around here on a few more minutes. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to plop them in on the chat. You can plop them in, you can pop them in, either way, and I'll be more glad to talk about it. But we have a lot more going on here at HHG coming up. Like I said, getting ready to do Gen Con. Got the travel video coming up. I'll be filming the first episode of the Card Graveyard coming up soon. TCG Tussle, we're working on, try to figure out some good games to start off with for that. Date Night Demolition, Cyndi and I have already been working on that. When you see those videos, I will still have my goatee. I will still have like longish hair. So that's going to be a little bit different. But those I've had filmed for a while, just in case things got crazy during the wintertime and all that. Back at the casino and just in our jobs in general. Um, but yeah, like outside of that, we're just getting everything going. And hopefully we can do some traveling soon. I'm planning on, in the month of May, while Cyndi and Hannie are gone, I'll be doing a lot more streaming. I'll be doing a lot of just stuff around the studio and everything. Have you join and feel free to ask questions while I'm getting stuff together. I'll be doing a lot of filming during that time. But also I'll be checking out, as long as everything goes well, one of the collector paloozas. They just recently had one in Indianapolis. I was going to try and go to it, but unfortunately my scheduling wouldn't allow it. But Collector Palooza, formerly Pokapalooza, try to go to that one at the end of May to check it out and see what that's all about. It's a one-day event instead of the big two-day one they had, but you know what? The one-day ones are still just as good. So hopefully I can go to that. There's also the Indianapolis or Indiana Comic Con coming up in June. Try to go to that and check it out for a day, see what happens. But also October, there's haunts and there's all sorts of other cool stuff. So, but that's the current plan for what I'm going to try to do here on House Edge Gaming, and hopefully within the weeks and months to come, we'll be able to get some people back in here. Hopefully Owen will be able to join us again. Hopefully we can get maybe some new faces in here, and all. Just, it's one of those things where like life throws you a curveball, and you just gotta try and figure out the best way to hit it, and also. But one other thing I want to talk about real quick before we go. And I know I've said this in a past video, and I'll probably say it in more videos coming up. But right now, you can turn on the TV, you turn on the news, and there's a lot of bad going on. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. There's everything from what's happening over in Iran. There is stuff happening here in the U.S. There's so much stuff happening all across this world of ours. And a lot of it is troubling, and it can cause you to have anxiety, and cause you to be worried, and cause you to be upset and angry, and every single one of those emotions, you have the right to feel it. And I do these live streams, I do our videos, because this is my way of putting some positivity out in the world, and putting some laughter out there, and everything. And sometimes it can be really hard to just get your day started, and you just see everything going on. You're like, man, I just want to crawl into bed, and I want to just like sleep this day off and start again tomorrow. See if anybody hit the reset button to see if anything gets better. And it's easy to do that, and I've had that feeling sometimes. But in the end of the day, best thing to do is fight. Best thing to do is to get up and just go, you know what, with everything going on right now in the world, I'm going to do my best to make an impact on my little corner of it. And if it's an impact that gets bigger along the way, awesome. But I wake up in the mornings, and I'll let you in a little bit on May here. So, for the longest time, I would be so worried about what's happening in the world that I would stop living my life. I would just be worried. I would just be in a corner and just going like, you know what, I'm just going to wait for the shoe to drop, and then that's it. And you can't live that way. You live that way, that's not a way to live. Best thing you can do is to do what you love doing. spend time with family and friends. And I think that's one reason why I love gaming so much, because you get to spend time with family and friends, escape the world for a little while, and go into different worlds. Whether it be you're playing Betrayal at House in the Hill, you're exploring a house, somebody is a evil betrayer, or you're playing Pandemic, which we all did several years ago. You can play Ticket to Ride, where you're train barons trying to create the longest train routes, or you can play Everdell and make a city or town of like these amazing creatures and landscapes and everything and buildings. Or you can play Alter TCG and be able to have an explorer and their companion try to meet together while exploring this amazing land with the help of all these different denizens and supporting characters. Or like so many different worlds you can go into in gaming just to escape it. But you can do that with a lot of other things. You can escape into a different world from reading a book. You can escape from into video games and everything like that. But the biggest thing you want to do as well is just here in the real world, just do your best to leave a positive impact on it. Make somebody smile. I'll give you a prime example of this. Last night, I was at the casino, and I was getting ready to leave and everything, and a few of the other dealers and one of the big bosses there was leaving for the night. And I said, "Goodbye, y'all," and just do it like a strong Southern accent and everything. And they laughed so much, and I love making people laugh, and I love instructing about gaming. And I think that's the reason why I like the casino job so much, is because I get to instruct people how to play blackjack or Crazy Four or Mississippi Stud, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, DJ Wild, 3-card poker, and everything. And I tell stories to cheer people up and to talk to them and everything, and just to leave a more positive impact in this world. And hopefully with these live streams, doing these, I'm able to do that too, and being able to talk about wrestling a little bit more. I probably won't be talking about wrestling on the channel for a while, until maybe SummerSlam, but I want to talk about Wrestlemania because it's something that there's a few parts of it that I was looking forward to. But I like getting on here, talking to people in the chat when you have a question. I love talking to people when they email me and all. And what you can do, just you can follow the link down in the comments. Ask any questions, just talk. And I've also offered, if you just want to talk about something and it's like, hey, this is what's going on. If I can give you any type of advice, anything I can do to help out, I'd be more than glad to. Because one thing I always wanted to do with this channel is just, like I said, just share a love of gaming and everything. And just leave a good mark on it, you know. And I do my best to, Hannie. I appreciate that. I do my best to just to be as positive as I can, and sometimes, like I said, days can be tough about it. And you can make, and not just what's happening in the world, but there are going to be things in everybody's personal lives that can be hitting you hard, and you'll think that, well, everything's just stopping me from doing something I want to do, or from being who the person I want to be. And just sometimes you just got to take a step back, breathe, and just reassess and go from there. And that can be hard, but just remember, there's also a lot of times where you got to reach out to people. There's a lot of people that are there for you. They'll always be there for you, and they'll help you get through anything. And that's their way of putting a positive mark in this world, because we all could use that support. We can all use that positivity in our lives. And I know this stream just took a wild turn, but I wanted to say something because there's a lot just going on in the world right now, and I just want to make sure everybody knows that, hey, if something's going on, if you're worried, trust me, you're not alone. And we're all facing this stuff together. And we'll get through it all. And whatever you're going through in your personal lives, just know that you'll be able to get through it. Because you got friends there for you, you got family there for you. And we'll get through it all. So, and it'll all get better at some point. But just every day, try and leave a positive mark in the world. Say hi to somebody, make somebody laugh, teach a new game, teach a new skill, be there for somebody. Because it's a lot better feel to make somebody laugh than make somebody cry. And it's a whole lot better when you can sit down at night and go, you know what? I got this. And thank you, my angel, who is just in the other room. I do my best, and I know a lot of people do their best. I know sometimes it can be taxing, but it's worth fighting for, and it always will be. But I think I want to end the stream here on that note, and try not to be too down on everything, but like my dad, I'll end on this. Like my dad always said to me, he always said that he wanted to make sure that he left this world dang sure better than he found it. And that's what I try to do every day. And hopefully all of you will do the same way in your own way. But just make sure to take time to be there if somebody needs it. Take time for yourself. Play some games. Relax. Lord knows I need to try and do that more. But just be a light in this world. There's a whole lot of darkness in it right now with everything going on. And me doing this is my way of bringing a little bit of light to it. And hopefully, with all of us bringing our own lights together, and chase that darkness away at some points. But we'll be back on here next week, HHG Live, talking more about gaming news. Who knows what else I'm going to get into, and all. But until then, my friends, stay safe and take care.